Kathy. Welcome to the Colorful Homeschooler Podcast, where we parlay on productivity, personality, passions, education, and theory. I'm a lover of Jesus, a wife of 20 years, and a homeschool mama of 4 special needs boys who keep me constantly active. I'm so glad you're here to join me. Pull up a chair, there's space for you at this table. Welcome back, friends. I hope you've had a great week, replete with doing the things that you wanted to do that were meaningful to you. Today I'm choosing to talk about an issue near to my heart: connection. Loneliness is defined by Merriam-Webster's as producing feelings of bleakness or desolation, cut off from others, being without company. Psychology Today defines it as the state of distress or discomfort that results when one perceives a gap between one's desire for social connection and actual experiences of it. The American Psychological Association states that loneliness is the discomfort or uneasiness from being or perceiving oneself to be alone or otherwise solitary. The Surgeon General released a video in May of 2022 where he addressed the loneliness epidemic in the USA. Consistent loneliness increases the risk of heart disease, dementia, stroke, depression, anxiety, and even premature death, to levels comparable to smoking 15 cigarettes daily. The going estimation from several polls taken prior to the pandemic tallies it as 1 in 2 adults goes through every day, all the time, every season, feeling lonely. In the report released in 2023, the Surgeon General mentions on page 4 that people began to tell me they felt isolated, invisible, and insignificant. He heard this so much that he put out an advisory, this 2023 report. Advisories within public health are reserved for looming health issues that threaten the normal continuation of life in our country. This report defines loneliness as a subjective internal state. It's the distressing experience that results from perceived isolation or unmet need between an individual's preferred and actual experience. So why all of this talk on loneliness? Well, this journey of parenting, of homeschooling, of raising special needs children, all of these journeys are lonely at times, solitary often. There's a correlation between social isolation and loneliness. Social isolation is objectively having few social relationships, social roles, group memberships, and infrequent social interaction. This can describe homeschooling to a T. Forget about now adding in an autism or high-level ADHD diagnosis, maybe some comorbidities of depressions and anxiety. This is further isolation for full seasons. I have felt this so acutely, sometimes for over a year, that it impacted me intensely. And I know that I am not the only one. If 1 in 2 adults who work in physical locations and don't spend most of their day taking care of children who don't want to discuss Dante or even the most recent episode of The Golden Bachelorette or Emily in Paris because you can't handle anything else intellectual, I think the homeschooling loneliness epidemic might show a much higher ratio. So how do we fix this? It's beyond the scope of this podcast to speak on suggestions for the whole of society, but for parenting, for the homeschooling world, I have some things to say. Now, I love me a 4-step plan. Easy to access, download into my working memory, and then enact while out in the world. This is what feeds my firstborn high-achieving personality. And I even made it into an acronym. Bam! Mic drop and... This acronym is CELLS. CELLS. Cells are the smallest structural and functional unit of all things. Encyclopedia Britannica defines it as the basic membrane-bound unit that contains the fundamental molecules of life and of which all living things are composed. Hold on to this, it's important. CELLS stands for connect, experience, listen to, lean in, and serve. So connect. Researchers refer to social connection as the feeling within you of being close with others in varying roles, belonging. So how do we create connection? I know this phrase has fallen out of favor in recent years, but we still use it in our house. Fake it till you make it. Not everything is going to be easy. Not everything will be comfortable. In fact, I am of the mind that most of the things that matter in this life are neither easy nor comfortable to achieve. So fake it. I'll explain this. You don't like to step out of that comfort zone to invite someone to coffee. I get it. You don't know how to take that conversation at the park while pushing your kids on swings, to a coffee date, or even a play date for the kids, scheduled, where you know that mom came to spend a little time with you when you're not off running after your toddlers. When I first moved to Idaho from New York, I had to learn brand new methods of making friends. It was incredibly difficult and a truly lonely time for my husband and I. You see, in New York, if I met a mom at the park and we enjoyed each other, we knew we would not see each other again. That was a foregone conclusion. In a city with millions of people, if I like you, it was recognized as a gift. So we would exchange numbers, text a bit, and then hang out once to see if we wanted to continue doing so. No harm, no foul if we didn't. It was also expected that would happen sometimes. Well, when moving to Idaho, I would enjoy speaking with a mom at the park and ask for her number, and she would look at me like I was a stalker and make for the closest exit. I just couldn't understand. Finally, after about a year of similar situations for my kids and I realized that even though Boise has grown significantly, the friend-making chain of events is still small-town minded. You see, when I meet that mom, she expects that I will see her again. Of course we'll meet at this same park, she thinks. We can get to know each other in this, no pressure, no commitment situation, before I give her my phone number. But this wasn't true, and for most people it truly isn't anymore. I have adjusted. I've learned this new way of meeting in random places, maybe group going out a couple of times. But I think if all of us could have a little more New York in us, connectedness may be a little easier to come by. Maybe assume that you won't see her again and give it a try. It may be your next best friend that you just gave up. Then there is still some bravery left, some faking it until you make it. Because you have that phone number now, but you need to use it. No pressure is great if your kids are young, meet at a park. If your kids are older, this can be tricky. So just say that. Kathy, what? You want me to be honest about my feelings of nervousness? But that's too vulnerable. Yep, it is vulnerable. Say something like, I'd like to get to know you in a low-pressure way, but we're a little beyond the let's meet at a park for a play date in age. Any suggestions? She might have some that are fantastically fresh. But you can come up with some too. Maybe a walk at a local nature reserve, picking up some tacos and chilling out by a lake for an hour. Set a time to leave. That way both of you feel free that if things aren't going well and this isn't going to be your next best friend, you can move on. Like I said before, no harm, no foul. The always available meeting for coffee. Get together at a climbing gym so the older kids can be occupied. Sign up for a museum tour together where there'll be some downtime and you can chat. But how do you even meet these people if not at a park? I was once told that financial and social skills are the same, in that the people who have them think everyone does. Maybe you have them, maybe you don't, but can you fake it a little? You have to talk to others. Now, I get it. In large groups, I generally am very quiet and I watch people for the first several times I meet with them. In my co-op, I don't think I spoke for maybe a couple of years beyond a one-on-one conversation with somebody. But you have to talk to others. Join a library group, a garden center group, take a sewing class, attend a lecture where there are snacks afterwards. Say hello to somebody. Ask how their day was. Compliment them. Try to find things in common. Talk about a podcast you enjoy or that has been particularly helpful. Hopefully, one of those is The Colorful Homeschooler. Bridge the gap. If it's 1 in 2 people that say that they are lonely every season, that other person is probably looking for someone to talk to also. Try to be the one who steps out, who does the initial contact. Maybe just with 1 person a week, right? That's not too overwhelming. 1 person a week say hello to, 1 new person. So scary still, I know, but I believe in you. I would like you if I met you, I bet. The next letter in our acronym is E, experience. Once you've made that initial connection, you need to experience things together. Things that you will be able to look back on, point to, enjoy, have lunch together. There is a deep psychological component to the sharing of food together. Think of the Bible. Esther fed Haman and King Xerxes prior to asking for anything, 2 times. When Jesus rose from the dead, one of the first contacts he made with the disciples was to eat together on the beach. Let's all be like Jesus. The University of Oxford began a social experiment in 2016 called the Big Lunch. Through an endowment, they served meals in parks and on lawns, and 7.3 million people showed up. They had to participate in a brief survey in order to take part, and through it, the researchers found that those who eat socially wind up having a wider social network and more feelings of acceptance and belonging. Now that sounds like the opposite of loneliness, doesn't it? It facilitates social bonding. So invite that new friend that you connected with over for a meal. Start with lunch so it feels like less pressure. But if that's not a concern of yours, you can do brunch, you can do dinner. Brunch is a blast with friends. But beyond meals, there are 1,000 experiences you can branch out to. A common love of nature? Go for a hike. Enjoy music? An outdoor concert. There are plenty of free ones in almost every city in the U.S. and many overseas as well in the warmer months. Check your library events. There are often great options there as well. Paint together. Go for a walk. Play board games or cards. Decide that you're still young and meet that friend at the roller rink or for a walk at the mall. Nostalgia. So we've got connect and experience. Our first L stands for listen. This is key to growing any relationship. When the other person is speaking, listen. It isn't just your time to wait for the next moment you can speak. Be fully present and listen to them. Learn about them and their likes and their dislikes. Get to know who they are when no one is watching. What's important to them? What isn't? As I spoke about in episode 1, not everything can be important all the time. Even though you may be running after crazy toddlers, when you're pushing one on the swing next to that mama, truly listen for that time frame. The next L is lean into. So you're on the path of growth. You've connected. You've set up experiences together. You're truly listening when you meet with this person. Now I want you to lean in for true, deep connection. This may take some time to get to this next step. Try opening up. Can you guys talk about hard things? Can you seize a moment to be there for them or drop off a bouquet of flowers? Call them during a harder season. How can you more fully lean in with this person? Is it time to set up a solo outing? No kids. Or perhaps the next step for you is having them to your house, spouses and kids, for a dinner complete with dessert and drinks like real adults. Are you even ready for a weekend trip? With or without the kids? Together? I know this level is the one most of us crave and have the hardest time getting to. But the listening and the showing up step is imperative to getting here. Some seasons of life preclude this deeper step, but it will happen. I know it will come. And finally, the S. Don't stop at the lean-in portion. You've grown a deep, meaningful relationship. But serve, as that final letter, is so important. Serve them, yes. Bring meals when they're sick. Offer to take the kids. Research something that they need but cannot in any way handle putting on their plate. Stay listening so you hear what would truly bless them. So serve them, yes, but serve others together as well. A friend and I walk this path together, connecting, experiencing things together, listening to one another, leaning into the relationship, and now we serve on a board for a community group together. Can you and this deeper friend work at a soup kitchen together, or set up a craft fair for your homeschooled children? Working through hard things in life, but also in planning, organizing, adjusting to changes in an event that you've planned or completed together, this does further deepen a relationship in a way that just doesn't happen any other way. So that's my acronym for you. CELLS, CELLS, the essential building block of life. Membrane bound. What is this membrane that will hold you all together? What is the membrane that will keep you close even when times are tough? You need to build that around your friendships. Prayer, yes, cover that friendship in prayer. But also making sure you have a variety of lived experiences together. So when those fall off for a season because you're nursing a sick kiddo, or you've come down with something yourself, or everything's just too hard for you to get out of the house, that membrane still binds you together and you don't lose the friendship. Cells, a functional component for health. Let that sink in when finding that friend group. We need this, people. It really isn't optional when there's a loneliness epidemic being spoken of by the Surgeon General. When we improve our level of social connection, it improves our heart and our brain health. It decreases our risk of diabetes and high blood pressure. It boosts our immune system and lowers our risk of depression. Wow, doesn't really seem like something that we can forego. I wanted to finish up by who you need in your squad. Now, there are some vague general terms like make sure you have someone you can call when things get tough. Make sure you have someone who just likes to have fun with you. When I was growing up, we had a family friend, and we would go to their house and have dinner and do amazing things together. We walked through all the steps of this CELLS acronym that I'm handing to you. And when I was home from college, I got in an accident, and my father thought for 1 second and knew who he could call. This person picked up the phone. His name was Paul. Paul picked up the phone and said, "Andy, what do you need?" Immediately. No questions, no, "Oh, I'm so tired." He didn't ignore the phone call. He picked up the phone and said, "Andy, what do you need?" And he did. He drove out to me at the accident site and was there for me at that time. So you need someone in your squad like that. But I'm not just talking about this. I wanted to get biblical. These categories I just gave are truly important, but we actually have biblical guidance to a more specific makeup of some women and men that we need. We need that friend who is 1 or 2 steps ahead of us in this game of life. Perhaps we are in a season working so hard to graduate our children. So we want that friend who has graduated her children already, and maybe most of them now are in the workforce or college. This is someone we can ask how they did it and truly value their answer. In that same vein, we must be that person just a few steps ahead for someone else. Titus 2, 3-4 in the NIV translation says this: "Likewise, teach the older women to be reverent in the way they live, not to be slanderers or addicted to much wine, but to teach what is good. They can train the younger women to love their husbands and children, to be self-controlled, to be busy at home, to be kind, to be subject to their husbands, so that no one will malign the word of God." We need to be teaching and to be taught. Both of these levels need to be present in our squad. And then, of course, someone you can call for a hard day, text for solidarity, ask for a cup of coffee, buy concert tickets with. Or, as I have had to do, call at the very last minute because one of your kids is having a huge autistic tantrum and you have tickets for Lord of the Dance in an hour and your husband can no longer go. I have that person, and yes, she came. We had a great time. The salsa dancer was amazing, and they made a lot of New York references that the two of us loved. I'm so blessed she's part of my squad. Before you compare, return to episode 12. I've had many difficult years of feeling lonely. Remember my culture shock from the beginning of this episode on how to now make friends? I've been actively seeking out my own person, Titus 2, ahead of me in relationship. My mama lives very far away, and gosh, I miss you so much, Mom. So sometimes when I share with you, I'm encouraging myself to start a part of this journey I'm telling you about. Let me tell you a story. For my 30th birthday, my husband got my brother and I packages to skydive. He purchased the video package for me as well, so yep, that's right. I have a video of me jumping out of a plane. I'm bringing this up because as I was falling in tandem with someone, the videographer was directly in front of me. I reached out for him to hold his hand. I'm falling through space at approximately 120 miles per hour, and without truly realizing it, I was reaching out for someone to hold. That provided some level of comfort to me. I was falling, didn't change that, but having someone solid that I knew was there, that mattered. I knew deep inside me that if I could just hold somebody that I felt was solid, that wasn't afraid, it would make it easier for me to greet the obstacle, the difficulty, i.e., falling through space, in front of me with a little less fear, with a little more confidence, with a little more strength. This is a picture of our squad. Who will hold your hand while you're falling? Because that time comes for all of us. Who will hold your hand while you're falling? Hopefully, though, this encourages you to get out there. Maybe connect with that one new person a week or a month and begin using that acronym. Build your cells. It took me years. Maybe I'm one of those people who's just a few steps ahead. I hope it gives you something to look forward to. You are valuable and lovely. You matter. Build that social connection. People need what you have. No more isolation. Please follow the show. New episodes every Tuesday. Please leave me 5 stars and a written review wherever you're listening to this, whatever platform. Share it with a friend. Let me know how you like it and if there are any topics you want discussed. And remember, everyone, from the bottom of my heart, I believe in you.